Oh, this is a nice concept, Tom. What's going on here?
This is my MBUK long-term test bike. It's a Last Glen, and I've got some fancy bits because I'm going to give it a rebuild today. So I've got full XTR Di2 group set, we've got carbon hoops. So I thought I'd just put it all together in a studio, see what we end up with. Hopefully it's going to be kind of like an ultimate trail bike. I'm pretty excited for it, actually. All right, so this is my Last Glen. It's a long-term bike, so 150mm travel at the back, 150 or 160 at the front. Now, obviously, I do have a 160mm Fox 36 already plugged in the front, and that is because I have this Padamelon CS1 steering damper already installed in the bike. The process is kind of involved, which is why I haven't sort of taken it off to put it back on again, because it takes quite a while. But we basically have a chassis here. So I think job one, I'm going to run some cables through to get the dropper in. That's going to be my least favourite job. And then we'll get on with fitting XTR. We've got some wheels to plug in there, a few nice bits and pieces. So let's see how it goes. So I got my little rubber tube in. The cable goes through the down tube, but with no internal guides. So this just stops it from rattling. I'm going to try freehand it first. And if it's struggle, or when I struggle, I've got the Park internal routing tool.
They call that a mouse, don't they?
Oh, do they?
Well, that's what I've heard. Maybe that's just a plumber's term.
Probably a plumber's term. I ain't no plumber. It's got a little access hole here, so I've got it kind of halfway. Now I've got to try and get this and get it so I can push it up the seat tube. I think I've actually got it in, which when I first built this bike up, this process took me a long time, but I think I've actually, if I'm just gentle with it. Right, cables all the way through the frame. Bit of a nightmare, but we got it done. I've got the old inner cable. I'm just going to vaguely measure it up because it's going to be about right. So pops out here. I know it goes down to there. Hold that there. I know there's a bit of a loop around there. So I'm going to snip it. I'm going to snip it around here. One up here, 210mm travel, so plenty of drop on that. Obviously, I'll set my saddle height properly down the line, but I think the next job, I might as well put the saddle on. So I've got one of these fancy Power Pro saddles, Specialized 3D printed. Found these so comfortable, they're unbelievable. So yeah, if I'm gonna build like an ultimate trail bike, this is kind of the saddle that has to go on. Fits me super nicely. Saddle rails, like dropper post cables. Those are probably the two bits of a bike build that make me the most angry.
What makes you the least angry when building a bike? It's not a lot.
But for now, it's another bit of the puzzle bolted together. Got some carbon paste as well. See if you're using carbon components. Can't really stick regular grease on there. This will just keep everything creak free. Just paint it on. Let's just stick that in there. See, I'm not going to get the angle quite right for the bars because I need the wheels on the ground for that. But if I can get it roughly in place. Got a P&W, nice and adjustable dropper lever there. Got a little rubber pad. Plenty of leverage, really nice little bit of kit actually. Okay, and then I'm just gonna feed the inner through, get the outer in there. Probably find out that my outer's way too long. Bit of threading. I'll cut this little bit off later on, can deal with that another time.
Hey.
All right, so let's get our cranks and get these built up. 30 tooth chainring, because I'm actually going to be running the 945 cassette on this bike. That's the XTR chainring. Got your little stiff bits here for when you hit the ground. But it's already pre-greased, so I'm not going to pop anything on there. There we go. Then just tighten it up. There we go. That's about right. Right, so we need to get the bottom bracket into the frame. Right, so the Last has got a 73mm bottom bracket shell, which means with an HT2 I need one 2.5mm spacer on the drive side. Let's get these cranks on there. Bit of persuasion, there we go.
I use those mallet hands.
Don't need to go overboard with the pre-tension one, just sort of finger tight. Alternate between the two bolts until you're getting towards that torque. So next job, let's do the derailleur. So I'm going to put the universal derailleur hanger on, so it sort of slips in there, you see. It's a reverse thread. Got the new gradient wheels from FSA, carbon, off-center spokes, 30mm wide, micro spline. So I've got the 945 tooth cassette, so it needs a special lock ring tool, because obviously a normal one won't fit with the smaller 9-tooth sprocket. Fortunately there is one. So 945 gives you 500% range, which is pretty much as good as you get with a normal 1051 or whatever it might be, 1052 or SRAM. But it means you can run a shorter cage rear mech, maybe a smaller chainring as well, so you get a bit more ground clearance on rowdy terrain. But I've messed that bit up, so. Okay. I'm gonna have to get used to that noise. It's quite loud. I'd always rather my rims came pre-taped for me, but that's all right. No worries, FSA.
It's probably the easiest job you'll do all day, this one.
You say that, I'm terrible at doing it. 2 pairs of wheels, 2 rotors. I've got 203 front and back, loads of power. Should be good. No one needs to watch me doing this again, so let's do some Sam Pilgrim magic. Right, so let's get the derailleur on there. This is the heart of the new Di2 drivetrain.
It was the heart.
So much for a nice and chill build video. Yeah, this is the Vitian heart. So this is a short cage version of the mech for that 9-45 cassette. Carbon cage. Well, that's on there. I have to do a little bit of reading up on how we set this all up, but in theory, shouldn't be the most difficult job in the world. Okay, so the next thing I've got to do is pair the shifter, this little thing, with a derailleur. Now, I've not done this before, but I believe if I hold the two things down, we should see that. And then if I hold them down again, start flashing. And then if I hold that down, that should be it. And then let's see. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be. I've never done that before. So I'm going to put the brake levers on the bar so I can fit the shifter, put the chain on, and then hopefully get some gear set up, I think. So So I've got to get the chain length right. With Shimano, you run it over the chain ring and over the largest sprocket, not through the mech. And then you work out how long it is based on where it all meets. So this is what they call the 0 point, where these two meet. And then depending on whether you've got an outer finishing or an inner finishing where they meet, dictates whether you do 5 or 6 extra links. And like this, I think I will be doing 5 extra links. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that point there is where I'm going to break the chain. And that's just a case of adjusting the low on the back here until the lines align on the back of the cage, and I think we're good there. So I've adjusted the low B tension on this, and now I'm going to shift up into gear 5. 3, 4, 5. And then I need to put the derailleur into like its setup mode. So I can either hold the function button, which is around here somewhere, or I can hold the 3rd button on the shifter, and I'm waiting for the little yellow LED to come up. I've got to rotate the cranks until you can hear it clicking. So you can hear the shifting is not great, and then I need to come back the way 5 clicks. And that should mean that my shifting is pretty good, I think. So I've just got the high limit just touching the stop down inside. It's kind of difficult to see, especially with studio lights, but that's all good. Do the same for the low. The gear's set up. All right. Nice and easy job that. Wipe down. Right, so that's the front brake done. It does need a lever bleed, but I'll get onto that once I've done the rear. So time for the rear brake, and this means routing through the frame again, my favorite job. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna try and get it to come out at the same hole as the dropper, just for a really nice, neat little cable routing around the front of the bike. So yeah, we'll suck it and see. Got my trusty hose for this inside. It's a bit like filling a sausage skin with meat. Okay. That is a job well done.
When does that ever happen?
I'm pretty happy with that, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Just release that and bring it down to a nice angle, nip it back up again. So next job, let's get that brake lever on. And again, I'll sort of sort out the routing of all the placement of the dropper lever and everything when everything's a bit more built up. So once again, measure up. I'm going to cut around here. Then we're just going to nip it up. So the nice thing about Shimano's brake system is that they are really easy to put together like that. Just going to give it a little clean up, rubber cover up, keep it all neat. Don't need too much in the pot. I'm pretty confident that's going to be all right, actually. That looks good. Then just nip it up. Doesn't need to be tight, sort of finger tight on the short end. Tyres are super important things for riding, as we all know. And I reckon some of the best, certainly bang for buck, has got to be some Specialized tyres. So I've got the trail casings, I've got an eliminator for the rear with a slightly harder T7 compound, and a butcher for the front in a T9, slightly softer, slightly chunkier tyre on the front. And this is where I get found out for having maybe slightly weaker thumbs. But I'm a man who believes that if a tool has been invented, you should use a tool.
There you go, and I'll cut there. So I made it look like you did it all with your thumbs.
Nice. Specialized logo with the valve. Right, so it is winter in the UK, so you've got to have a mud guard. I've got this Mud Hugger one, direct bolt, nice and clean, always looks good. So back to the back end of the bike and we'll start tidying everything up. Little zip ties for the rear brake. Keep them looking tidy. Let's get this rear wheel in, swing the mech out the way, nice and easy.
I always find that job is way easier with the bike upside down.
Yeah, but if you put a bike upside down on the internet, the comments go wild. But agreed, putting a wheel in a work stand.
It's so much easier.
So much easier to do it on the ground upside down. Got the rear wheel in, which means I can now get the rear caliper aligned. I've not done these bolts up tight, so the caliper's free to move. So all I need to do is pump the brake up a touch because it was bled, then hold it down, and then I can just nip those up. I often get asked, oh, have you ever worked in bike shops, or do you ever thought about being a mechanic? And the answer every single time is absolutely not. I absolutely respect those people who do this day in, day out. People who enjoy doing it, I don't understand, but here we are. So we've got a tiny bit of rub, but I'm not worried about that. It's minimal, and obviously when the pads wear and the rotor wears in, that's going to disappear. Obviously, can't do the cockpit while the bike is in the stand, just because I've got to make sure the angles are all correct. So I've got some DMR Death Grip 2s, lovely pair of grips. Let's get one on that end. Right, they're on there nicely. Up to there. There we go. Healthy sound. I'm going to use some snips to crimp it. You could use a crimping tool, but click. Nice little final touch, little cable tidy, keep everything looking smart there. Okay, so that's the bike built, set up, cleaned up. I think the only thing to do now is have a proper look at it. you enjoyed watching this ultimate trail bike build video. Let me know in the comments what components you would put on your ultimate bike. Now I haven't set the suspension up, that's coming next, so if you want to see how to do that in 10 minutes, there's a video on screen now.